The C10 is out of the shop and she is low. But before we get into the overview of this thing, let's do a little rewind to a few months ago. The axle flip just finally came in. It's a couple $100 on eBay. I think the company that originally sells it's Crown Suspension. Never used anything from there before, but we're going to try it. Looks like a pretty decent kit. Came with the frame notch plates, the axle relocators for the top of the leaf spring, new U-bolts, plates, shock extensions, all the hardware to mount everything. So for a couple $100, I think it's going to do just fine for what this truck is. I have some punches in the front of the leaf springs, holding them in the holders. I've got these flip plates in here. They're pretty nice. They have one hole drilled in them, so trying to figure out if the rear end is in the right spot before I bolt it up and everything. Looks like it is. I had to reverse them. I had them the wrong way yesterday, but I reversed them today, and they're in a lot better spot. Man, that's a look I could get used to. Whew. Rear end is low. Nothing's finished yet, but I put the bed on and the tires on just to verify that axle fitment like I was just talking about. Lines up pretty good. I wasn't sure if I was going to keep the step side bed or not on the truck, but now that I see it low, it actually looks pretty good. Got one notch plate all cut out and ready to slide on. It's kind of just snugged up there on the end, but it's going to be pretty good. The axle's a little offset because it's not sitting straight in the mount, so when it sits straight it'll come forward a little bit, and when it's sitting on its own weight it'll sit centered. Got the notch plates all bolted in, as well as got all the brake lines ran and made for the rear. Thanks to my buddy Mason for helping me out with that last night. So now that the back's on the ground, I moved on to the front. Got this side all apart. Here's a little bit of a comparison between the two spindles. Got the drop spindle from DJM, 3-inch drop. And I kind of screwed up because I thought I was going to be able to use these ball joints. But they're pretty freaking wasted. Everything's tight. And the steering and all the ball joints are tight, but all these boots are all worn out, and the boot fell right off the top. So I just ordered all new steering tie rods, as well as all 4 ball joints. Still got to order all the shocks, but that'll put the front end in good shape, just for longevity purposes. Ooh, new parts. I like to look at that. Got all 4 ball joints, got all the tie rods, got the sleeves, the idler arm, and the kit came with control arm bushings and sway bar bushings. Probably going to wait to put the control arm bushings in till a later date down the road when I tear this truck completely apart and clean the frame and powder coat it. I might put the sway bar bushings in, I'm not sure yet. But I am going to put in all the steering and all the ball joints. I've got both ball joints out of this side, and I've got the other side all taken apart. I just got to remove the upper ball joint. But I figured I'd give it a little tip. So I don't have a bunch of fancy tools here. I just kind of run with what I have. But these lower ball joints, they press in from bottom side. So what I did, I watched a couple videos on how to do it because I wasn't sure how they went in at first, and a couple guys just pushed them out with ball joint presses. It's a wonderful way to go about it. I don't have one. My dad does, and I don't have it here with me. So I just put the nut on the top side of the ball joint, whacked it a few times with my hammer, and it dropped. Top side, on the other hand, I ground all the tops of the rivets off, and I couldn't pound them through, So what I ended up doing is cutting the ball joint like this, and then I don't know if I have a piece here or not. Here's a little piece of it. I was able to cut the rivet sideways and knock all this metal out, and then I just took my hammer and pounded the rivets through. Looks good with all these brand new parts. Heck, I even got the hub and the brake caliper on this side done. So now I'm working on getting the hub assembly on the other side and installing brand new shocks. So I'll check back in when the front end's all back together. Finally, this old bitch is sitting on all fours again. Put the fenders on just so you could see how low it is. You really can't tell, the video doesn't do any justice. I put my 42-inch tall swamper next to it, and it's right here with the fender. The tire's actually taller than the fender. So I thought that was pretty bitchin'. Alright, now that the recap's done, let's check this thing out. So up front here, obviously we got the ball joints and the drop spindles, but in the meantime I also ran all new copper fuel lines that run all the way down to the pump, as well as running all new copper lines out to the back of by the tank, and I did the dual headlight core sport swap on it. Still got to get buckets for the bottom headlights, but these LED lights in the front look pretty mean. And on the back, obviously got the axle flip, got the shocks all on, and all the brake lines ran up the frame and everything. And I determined when I eliminated my axle wrap I had before. Went and blew a couple donuts at the end of the road yesterday. But she should be a fun little bitch to drive, I'll tell you that. Gonna hopefully get to bed on it today. I think I decided I'm gonna put my fleet side bed on it. But start this thing up and listen to it. Still got the headlight harness we gotta figure out, because this truck was single headlight before. Steering pump whines a little bit, but we're just running a straight head pipe on it right now. It should be fun. I got new wheels, new tires, but it should be a fun little truck.